The second thing we want to talk about is how successful dads are authentic. Now, growing up when I was a kid, I loved to watch the old Scooby-Doo show. I did. I watched it all the time, even though each episode was pretty much the same show. You know, there would be a bad person or a mystery or a ghost, and they would go investigate it. And then at the end, they would trap whoever the ghost is, and the ghost would be wearing a mask or something, and they'd take the mask off, and they'd all say in unison, "Mr. Johnson!" And Mr. Johnson would be like, "Yeah, I would have gotten away with it if it hadn't been for you meddling kids." That was the episode. Pretty much every week was the same thing. They would unmask the villain. You'd be like, oh, it's the guy who was nice to them early in the show, which it was always someone they knew. And it just happened every week. Well, here's the truth of that. People wear masks even today. This was a cartoon character mask. And of course, it was silly and it was a cartoon. But a lot of men wear masks today. They wear a different mask at work, at home, around their kids. And the truth is, you can't play a part and be a good dad. You can't. You've got to be authentic. If you wear a mask in front of your kids, they're going to figure it out. They're going to, as they get older, they're going to start to see past the mask that you wear as a dad. And a lot of men are really good at self-deception. Oh, nobody knows. Well, everybody knows. It's kind of like that guy who wears the toupee and he thinks, you know, my toupee is so natural. Nobody knows that I'm wearing a toupee. Everybody knows they're wearing the toupee except them. They don't think anyone knows. Everybody pretty much knows. And it's like that when you wear a mask around your kids. You think they don't know. But eventually, especially as they get older, they're going to figure it out. They're going to see the mask. And what you want to do as a man is be authentic in who you are. And this is a journey for many men. A lot of guys have to work on this because maybe they grew up in a home where wearing a mask was normal. You know, faking everything and not being real. They didn't have an example. So it's a new set of challenges for them. However, if you pay the price as a man and learn how to be authentic around other people, your children will develop a strength that maybe you didn't get when you grew up, and they'll have a better life for it. Now, what is an authentic dad? What are some characteristics of authentic dads? Well, authentic dads strive to be honest. They just do. They're being honest. And a lot of men, they find that a struggle. They have a hard time being honest. And when I say honest, I don't just mean not lying. I'm talking about kind of having that integrity in all of life, where the kids see you the same at home and out in public. That's an honesty. That's authentic in the way you live. Now, you shouldn't tell a lie, yes, but even more important is to live the truth. You should live the truth as a man. And you should act the same all the time. That doesn't mean you don't have good days and bad days. But what it means is you're being authentic with it. You're being authentic in how you feel. And you're not asking your children to maybe lie for you, to cover up, to pretend, to help you save face, to help you wear your mask. That's not honest in front of your kids. And you've got to understand that. You've got to also understand that authentic dads admit their imperfections. They just do. None of us is perfect. And yet a lot of us are driven to be perfect, to have a perfect image. In fact, in Henry Cloud's new book called Trust, he has this quote, and I want to read it to you. He says, narcissistic people have a great investment in being seen as ideal or perfect. They must be adored and idealized by others in order to feel secure and trust. I don't know about you, but that hit me in the face. Because I thought, gosh, when I was growing up, especially as a young man, I had a lot of narcissism. I wanted to be seen as perfect. And I never thought of it as being narcissistic, but it really was. It was really all about me. And as men, what we need to do is focus on the reality of, hey, I'm not perfect, but I am growing. I'm getting better. Every person has strengths and weaknesses. There are things you can do well that other people can't. And that's normal and that's natural. And we should embrace that. But we should become secure in who we are and understand. We don't give up, but we understand what we're good at and what we're not at. And we're being authentic with it. As we do this, our children see this. They see that, you know, my dad is pretty open about who and what he is. It's important for them to see that you're not perfect, and you know that. You're not trying to be perfect because you're still loved and accepted despite your imperfections. When somebody loves you despite your imperfections, that's a lot. And what you want to do as a dad is communicate that to your children by living it out, showing them that, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm getting better. I'm working on this. I'm working to overcome this. Or you tell them the story. I used to be terrible at this, and now I'm good at it. Or I'm keeping it from hurting me. And that's what kids need to see, because what you want them to see is that it's okay to not be perfect. Then they don't have this false expectation when they get married, when they start having children, that they have to be perfect. And the reason we do that is because as men, we have to grow and become more secure. The more secure in yourself you are as a man, the more secure your children will be. So you want to be authentic in that. You want to start that process to grow and understand, hey, I'm not perfect, but I am getting better. I am getting better day by day. And the other thing authentic dads try to do is they seek to be open. Being an open dad, it means you're honest, you accept your perfections, and you're okay with that. You're not afraid to share. You're open to feedback. You're open to new thoughts. You're just open to whatever idea works best. One of the biggest complaints kids have is no one listens to me. And a lot of kids feel that way because a lot of men don't listen to their kids. They don't listen to them and they say, well, I know what they're going to say. I know what they're thinking. Yeah, but they just want someone to listen to them. They want someone to hear their ideas. Now, being open to your children doesn't mean spoiling them or coddling them. It means being open to their thoughts, being open to their inputs, even if what they say isn't the brightest because they're children, and it won't be. But when you listen to them, when you take them seriously, that's going to really build them up. Even if you have to say, hey, I appreciate your thought, but this is why that's not going to work. And you explain it to them, what you're doing is you're actually training them to think right. You're training them to think clearly when you listen and then give that feedback to them. So you want to be open. You want them to understand the truth of the situation. But when you listen to them, you're going to open up the door for them to listen to you. Now, that doesn't mean at some moments, yes, you don't have time to listen. It's, hey, I can't explain it right now. You just need to do it this way. But when you've built that trust up where they know that, hey, my dad's not going to do something without my best interest, they're more likely to follow through and listen to you because they know maybe later you'll explain or whatever. And even then, when you open up your children to say, hey, give me some ideas. What do you think? If you ever ask your child, what do you think? Do you know how much life that speaks into them? That, hey, I care about your thoughts. I want to know what you think. And when you let them help make a decision, when you say, hey, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way. You don't know what that does to them. You don't know how much that builds them up. So what you want to do as a dad is don't try to know everything. Don't try to be perfect. Be open. Let your kids grow. Let them expand their minds. The truth is you're going to know better most of the time. But sometimes it's good to let them speak into something. And when you can say, hey, that's a great idea. Again, you're not spoiling. You're not coddling. You're saying, hey, that was good thinking right there. See, a lot of us didn't have that. And we say, well, I didn't have that. Yeah, but imagine if you did. Imagine if you had a dad who really listened to you and gave you feedback and taught you how to think. You probably wouldn't have had to learn so many things the hard way in your life. So that's what you want to open up to your children. Authentic men make a lasting impact in the world. You say, well, how is that? Because they create authentic children who will impact many lives.